So it is 7 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Council in the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street West, Swan River, Manitoba, this 13th day of August 2024 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, myself, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Byron, Burick, Kushniryk, Carrie, Blosha, RJ McGregor, Byron, Zbirun, and Terry Neely. Our Assistant CAO, Kristi Ronnquist, is with us tonight. Our videographer, Jeremy Bergen, is with us tonight. Now, typically, we would do a bunch of stuff in the beginning, but we're going to do things a little differently tonight. So we're moving immediately to section 4.1 to go in camera this evening. Be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523, the Municipal Council shall meet as a committee of the whole to close the meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding investigation or enforcement of an act or bylaw and security of RM documents and property. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely and Councillor Blosha. We note that the reason we're doing this is because we have a representative here from the RCMP this evening. Council has a few things that are going to be past the confines of what we can do in an open meeting. So we're going to speak to them in camera, then we'll come back and we'll be doing all the rest of the meeting after that. Any further discussion? Hearing nothing, those in favor? That's carried. We're going to move to number 2. Update. Be it resolved the agenda for the regular meeting of Council held this 13th day of August 2024 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick and Councillor Kushniryk. Is there any changes or additions to the agenda anyone wants to propose tonight? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Head to number 3, adopting minutes. Be it resolved the minutes of the regular meeting of Council held July 30th, 2024 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely and Councillor Blosha. Copy of the minutes are attached to the meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to read through them already? Does anyone need more time? Any errors or omissions?
Is this a regular meeting or is this a special meeting?
That was the
That's
special
meeting.
Special. Yeah.
I will change the resolution to reflect that.
It says special meeting on there.
Yep, I just didn't get the, okay, so I will update the resolution to say resolve the minutes of the special meeting held July 30th. If Councillor's okay with that? Councillor Neely, okay? Very good. Any other errors or omissions? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That too is carried. We will travel on down to general business 6.1. So a copy of a Board of Revision advertisements attached here. The note on it says, are we running again? Do you know more about this? Is the question just, are we running it a second time or why it got on the agenda?
That was my question. Are we running it the second time?
Do we have to?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, that's great. We'll send that back to staff and we'll find out the answer. If asked around once or twice.
Okay.
My suspicion is asked around twice, but we'll find out. Okay, 7.1, general checks. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General checks number 19899 to 19939, the amount of $300,204.55. Pre-authorized debits number 2024-013 to 2024-016, the amount of $1,240.69. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk, and someone to second it. Councillor McGregor. Copy of the checks are attached, and I have copies of the invoices here. Who would like to do the first question? Well, I'll go at the same time now. Councillor Blosha, you must have something.
No, I actually looked over them quite a bit today. I tried my hardest.
That's okay, sad that you don't have a question.
I know, I'm sorry, not today.
Anybody else with questions on them?
This is just a payment to cooks.
So this is some of the previous invoices were approved for payment now.
Okay.
So that is invoice 8917 for $55,000. I believe 8917 is part of July. It and several others have been audited for correctness and adjustments have been made, so the amounts we're paying are the adjusted amounts. Any other questions?
Were all the bills for graveling paid already? You notice there's a big one.
Oh, no.
There's still more to
No,
come?
not, yeah.
Okay.
The JTL backhoe services one,
Yeah, they have one big one.
so the $49,000 one there, that is charged to the haul roads account.
All road to
That was the price of what was done on 216,
216. Okay.
excluding our staff. That was only the hauling of the gravel.
Okay.
That's our whole budget for that, isn't it? Got none left for 158.
We don't have any gravel left either. We've got some things to discuss in camera about gravel supply. I have to admit, I didn't review that. I could just pull it up here, 9916. I didn't check it to make sure it was charged properly, but it probably is. Let's just go find it here. So that particular invoice is for Road 216 project. We hauled 1,824 yards from the Birch River pit, 888 from Cook's K pit, 388 yards from Kane's pit. So that includes 230 hours of semi-time on a total of 3,100 yards of gravel. Onto that road. Councillor Blosha.
Totally different question.
Okay.
19932, the Swan Lake watershed one.
Yes.
Why would it be? Why are they classing it as a recycling program in that line? Because it's nothing to do with recycling.
That's your annual fee.
I just wonder why it says that. I know it's the annual levy, I know that, but it
What's that?
says
Is that what we
recycling.
paid?
That's what we pay, but I mean, that's the annual fee that we pay.
That's their
but not-
annual levy, it's
Yeah,
not
but
nothing.
why,
I don't know
what
why it says
Carrie's
recycling.
asking is why does it say recycling program?
Don't know.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, well, I know it's just a clerical error.
Just a number or something.
Yeah, it's just got the wrong.
It is.
Ask me the question of that again in camera.
Okay, well, it's just, it is their levy, but,
Yeah, no, it's, the levy's right, it's just, that's the wrong account put fee in. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be there.
okay.
But do ask me if you can remember in camera. I'll tell you a funny story about that. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That is carried. Payroll checks is next. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments number 492 to 512 in the amount of $36,038.27. Is there someone that wishes to move the resolution? Councillor Neely, and someone second. I see Councillor Zbirun. So this is the last 2 weeks of July. Is there any questions or discussion on these? I can share that Chloe's last day is a few days away. She'll be returning to university or going for the first time, whatever, she's going to school. So she'll be done here 23rd or 24th. And then I believe John is going to be moving into a mower coming off grader 5. Grader 5 is going for maintenance and he'll take over mowing then. And we're going to swap the areas. So he's going to go south because it's closer to him. Tim is going to go mow north. Anything at all?
You know how they're progressing with cutting or no?
Not bad. It's been going fairly well. I haven't looked at the map every day, but I looked a couple days. And it was a fairly good area every day. So it's been.
I think Tim said he tries to do 10 miles a day.
Yeah. There was some stuff came up in what would be Ward 4 and 5 towards Thunder Hill, where outside forces had mowed some roads. earlier on and made a big deal about mowing them before we got there. But the grass had grown some, so we mowed them again anyway, so that we couldn't be said to have ignored them, which is some of the drama that's coming in that area. Hearing nothing else, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That is carried. 7.3, we're catching up a couple months of indemnities here because we didn't get the June ones done on time. Be resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan West hereby approves the following payments. Indemnities for June, number 4595 to 4603, we have $10,343.28, and for July, 4604 to 4612, in the amount of $9,912.55. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Burick, and someone to second it. Councillor Zbirun. A copy of both indemnities are attached to the agenda if anyone wishes to peruse them. Does anyone have questions or discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? Those opposed? Oh, favor? Thank you. That is carried. 7.4, bank reconciliation. I've locked the thing because I found there were some names on here, so we will probably post a clean copy of this by the time the video is released that has those names taken off. But right now, at least, it's for councillors' eyes only. So this is actual bank reconciliation. This is reconciling to the end of July. So you can see that our actual bank account balance is $1,072,273.88. And you'll see our accounting shows different, so there's a list of all the reasons why they don't match, every check that hasn't cleared, every deposit that's not in yet. So we will be seeing more and more reconciliations each month because that's what it is to have a finance officer, it's keeping up now. Is there someone, oh sorry, to read the resolution. Be resolved that the Council of Municipality of Swan West hereby receives the bank reconciliation for the period ending July 31st, 2024 as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely and Councillor McGregor. I will further note that there's been drama around the bank reconciliation. The credit union has moved to a new service provider to print their statements. So we now no longer receive our bank statement until 3.5 weeks after the month ends. So we have the option of paying $2
To go in and
to
get
go
one.
and get the statement, so we don't have to wait a month to find out if there's a problem with the bank account. So I've advised staff to begin paying the $2, so we don't wait 3.5 weeks for the credit union to get around to giving us the statement.
Used to be about 9 days.
No, it's totally changed. On a personal level, it's the same thing when you're trying to do payroll. It's not helpful.
They no longer mail the statements in Swan River, they've outsourced that.
So for $24 a year, we can be on top of the game.
Yes, so we're gonna spend the $24.
I'm all for it.
I promised the accounting staff I would put it on my long list of things that if the credit union calls for donation someday, we'll take $24 off the donation before we send it over. But otherwise, we'll just eat it. Any further discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. We're heading to discussion already. Let's go 8.1 Benito Splash Park. Is that suitable? Just kind of on the agenda because you want to talk about, you want it in camera or you want it in the open? Qualify for in camera or is it not really?
No, a person can talk without naming anybody, I think.
Then go right ahead.
Joy. I guess what I'm looking to do is we had discussed prior that we would set aside up to $100,000 for the splash park. I'm wondering if we can make a resolution to make that official so we can advertise it. We're running into the same kind of pushback from all major sponsors as nobody wants to be first, and why won't the municipality put it out there if they're willing to do this? We did initially hope to have some announcements from the government on their big programs first, but they really stalled announcing that. It's well behind. So if council were comfortable doing it, we could carry on with that. The LUD could carry on with theirs, and then we would be able to be not asking any of those major sponsors to be first, because there's some hard feelings going back around the pool and whatnot, and nobody wants to commit. So until it's got another big sponsor on it.
Our hope is that we're going to receive $100,000 from the province. But that was supposed to be announced over a month ago.
Is
And
that,
they've announced nothing. They're behind again.
so if that happens, they still have to get the 10% private donations?
Although I think they changed the rules on that this year. I don't think there is even a private donation required anymore.
Well,
But even if there
originally,
is, you still need it.
there had to be at least 10% private donations before that kicks in there.
Don't quote me, I think those rules changed, but even if not, they certainly need more than 10% to make the project go. So you're gonna need a lot more private donations than $10,000.
So is there any private donations or
There have been some come in and there's been a lot of
some
verbal
commitments
commitment.
for,
Yeah,
I would suggest if we're going to do this, we would, like, we're not gonna write a check. We would pass the resolution, committing the money, and then if the project doesn't happen, we don't write the check.
this is gonna be next year,
Yes.
right?
yeah, we still have multiple things that we pass, but we don't do, right? So I mean, it's basically words so far. Commitment.
And that ties into the conversation we're having outside of when to release that. Because there was one major sponsor who was very concerned that they didn't feel we had properly told people we supported the project. And so we're wanting to not pollute the splash park with the picture we just took, which is why we told them to not release the picture yet. With the theory being that if we're going to announce the splash park, we announce the splash park first, and then a week or two later, that picture gets released. So as to not put the cart before the horse and upset the sponsor that's thinking about giving money. We can tell you in camera which sponsor it is, but we can't tell you here. Do you want to discuss further here? Do you folks want to send it to in camera to discuss it some there? What
Or
would
go on
be?
camera, go on camera.
Okay, well, we'll send it in camera and we can tell you what the sponsor is and exactly what they said, so you understand the dilemma we're facing. Yeah. 8.2, the GIS program. Now, you folks heard a lot of this update a few minutes ago in camera, but I'm going to share the public portion of it for the benefit of those watching the meeting. Earlier today, I met with the Assistant Deputy Minister in Justice. The four heads of council were invited. I don't know if you folks know, but Reeve Byron was unable to attend today. He's still not well. So just three of us held the meeting with Justice. They were very clear to say that they have not committed funding to the GIS program as of today. However, today they were asking for the exact dollar figure for the GIS program for the provincial share. We also conducted negotiations on the final term of it. So we have agreed with the province on a 3-year trial program for the GIS. Their process is they will receive, probably earlier today, if not tomorrow morning, the final confirmation of the amount of money that is required from the province. It has been discussed at Treasury Board and with the Minister already. The suspicion is that with that final information, final briefing note is being prepared for the Minister and Treasury Board with the expected timeline of 2 to 3 weeks likely for a ministerial decision on the funding. I probably don't need to tell you that you don't have the conversation we had today if they're going to say no. Because we're basically putting the final touches on the negotiations today, but nothing's approved until the Minister signs the paper and Treasury Board approves the money. But it's certainly looking very positive. We asked them what could we say publicly. They said, you can say it looks very positive. So that is our official view of GIS. I note for council and the audience that the 4 municipalities have agreed to the funding starting essentially July 1st of this year. So we're already a month into the funding process. GIS is not running yet. We did speak to the RCMP a few minutes ago in camera, and while we can't share everything that was discussed there, we will share that they feel the spin-up of GIS, once they get the orders from Ottawa, would only be a matter of a month or two. They have already a couple people they've tapped to work on that. They've been putting some final touches on their stuff, so they will continue that. We certainly, in our meeting earlier, urged them on to take care of that and be ready. They had maybe been of the opinion they weren't going to do this until the end of March when fiscal year changed. But from all indications I've had from both the province and our municipal partners, We intend for this to happen this fiscal year, prior to March, possibly January 1st. Could be still October, November, just depending on how quickly we get it done. The town has requested the changes to their master police service agreement with the RCMP to add the GIS program. So they're in the process of getting that written in and getting it back and signing off on that. Once that's added, then the orders will go to the Swan River Detachment to create the program. So it's not here yet, unfortunately, but it's quite close.
So this Swan River Detachment is in charge of putting this.
GIS will ultimately report to Mr. Henson. But yes, so it's, and I shared earlier, try to remember to reshare everything that we can. The province has put very clear expectations on the RCMP and ourselves that the 3 GIS members not be used to fill vacancies in the Swan River Detachment. They will be separate plainclothes members that do not put on a uniform and do not become a regular member. That money will pay for new and additional policing that we don't have now. It will not simply be, oh, well, we'll short some people, so we'll use them to go do traffic. That's not going to be allowed to happen under the agreement. Speaking of the RCMP while they were here, I can further share that council had a spirited discussion about the enforcement of several criminal act complaints within our municipality, and encouraged the RCMP to not wait for the GIS program to resolve some of the concerns of our residents that they've been expressing so loudly to our council. We discussed specifics with the RCMP of which ones we felt were priority for immediate enforcement, and while they certainly don't commit to that because they are independent, they took under advisement our priority in taking immediate enforcement action on a concern we have in the municipality. It's a similar concern that we've spoken to the minister about, so we'll see how that goes this time. Anything else in the GIS or any questions anybody wishes to ask? We will move to 8.3, gravel hauling and crushing update. There will be a portion of this, you'll notice on the in-camera agenda, but we can do a lot of it here. I have not had Debbie add up the cards, but we are somewhere between 43 and 45,000 yards of gravel have been applied in the municipality this year, which, as you can imagine, is a substantial amount of gravel and quite a lot more than we typically apply. I can also advise that at this time, our entire gravel supply is limited to almost 1 tandem load. There is none left anywhere. Unfortunately, crushing has ceased on our supply, so we're unable to complete our capital projects. We did borrow gravel from another contractor to complete what we did on 216. We have to pay that gravel back once we get some, because they need it before the end of the year. I have been in frequent conversation with Public Works lead hand, and we will be presenting a plan in camera to see crushing begin in a few days with a different contractor to resolve this impasse we seem to have about lack of crushing ability and lack of gravel. I met with our current contractor for an hour today, and we got along a lot better today than we did on Friday. On Friday, we had to agree to stop the conversation and wait until this week to continue it when we were both be a little calmer. So we resolved quite a few of the issues today, and unfortunately they're unable to provide any commitment to when we might receive some more gravel. They're absolutely unable to commit to when we will receive the 10,000 yards in Birch River that we're short, that we ordered in February and they promised to do in February. It simply hasn't been done, and there's no date given. They provided 3 or 4 different stories as to where they're going to crush next and when, and each of those stories was different but presented as absolute fact. So council will have to have a little discussion tonight about what's next, but we do have some opportunities for that. On the hauling front, hauling has ceased because there is no gravel. We have a few roads, very few, 10 to 15 miles, give or take, that have not received the gravel they should have yet. So the intention is still to do that once we have some.
Some in Ward 6.
Yes, somewhat that way. It's all in Area 2, the north. Area 1 was completed in June. The contractor has not completed Area 2. We have run Area 1 contractor in substantially, which is part of why you're seeing that billing. And for the 216 project, the primary contractor for that area was unable to provide the resources in a timely manner, so we simply used the other contractor. Otherwise, the project wouldn't be started yet. So, any other gravel discussion anybody would like to have tonight? See, you're all in a good mood now. All right, let's head to correspondence. 9.1, Public Interest Disclosure Act. This letter's for council to read. I haven't developed an opinion on this yet, neither has staff. It's an opportunity for us to participate in the Public Interest Disclosure Act, which is essentially the Whistleblower Act, that would allow our employees the opportunity to blow the whistle on anything that was happening here that was illegal and have protections that are enshrined in provincial law. I haven't seen direction from the AMM on this yet either, what the recommendation is. If we get direction that they think we should be doing this, or if we decide ourselves, it will reappear here for council to further discuss. But the same thing goes for you folks. Read this, think about it, and if you think we should be going ahead with this, by all means, you could be bringing it back to the table
I
too.
read it twice, I still can't understand exactly what they're trying to say there.
I had a similar feeling that I'm not entirely sure if this is something we want to do or not. So we won't do it today. We'll think about it for a bit. And our assistant CAO will hang on to that for us. 9.2, we had Laguna landfill inspections today. These are not the official reports. Those will come in time once they've been typed by the province. These are the notes from a meeting that was held with the assistant CAO earlier today. So from the landfill inspection, they noted the signage is good. The burn pit, tire and metal pile are good. Mattress pile is massive. We have to do something to address that. Debris pushed to the sides needs to be put in the active area or covered. Shingle pile needs to be pulled away from the ditch and creek area. The new offal pit, the water needs to be pumped out before it's used. A new cell is needed. There's limited time on the existing cell. Options to go above ground or to create that second cell that's an option, or to go to a transfer station. We need to look at the recycling program was a suggestion from them as well. And then the second attachment is leachate pond design, I believe, right? Or area. This is the clearing still.
Yes, we had just discussed an additional cell, and so then I brought up that map because it shows the space in between where the leachate pond is proposed and the current landfill. And Dave thought that maybe we've already had soil samples done.
We have.
It may be as simple as, not as costly as a started engineer plan. We could have some of this started for us already to place the cell in between those two.
Because when we did, we'll have to go back, because when we did cell 1, cell 2 was on the map and figured out and planned already.
Good.
So it's very likely much of that work is done.
That was the feeling, which would be the best option, but it's up to you.
Okay. We'll dig some more of that out, we'll find the files and bring that back. Just food for thought, the cell we're in now, my recollection, Councillor Blosha, you were here then too, there's only room for one more cell easily before we have some substantial problems at the video landfill. We could build that one more cell. There's nothing precluding us from going up. Minnetonka's is going up. We could go up on the entire site that we have there. But the days of digging a hole to bury garbage,
Yeah,
there was one more hole to be dug.
yeah, they're numbered.
So going up, you mean you just put it there and then bury it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just make a mound, bigger and bigger.
That'll
Which is what you
eventually
see in your major centers, right? You drive by and it's just,
Now Winnipeg.
it's a
yeah.
ski hill.
Yeah,
And
go. I know, yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens is we have to then manage the runoff from it. But the leachate pond we're being forced to build anyway for the cell 1 problem would be the same leachate pond we would manage the runoff with. So we'll end up with the pond there already for dealing with that runoff.
So what we could do is would make another cell, fill it up, and then after that, just keep,
Either there or go back to cell 1 and go up, because we can go up as high as
Yeah.
we need to go until it becomes silly to go that
yeah, I
high.
was just thinking there because you're right close to that leach pond,
Yeah.
you're right there anyway, so.
Because they would eventually, and I think we'll speak to them as we do sell too, that, if this is the last place, let's have in our mind that we're going to build this thing, so we have that ditching in already.
Yeah,
So when we do start going up, the ditching already
Reeve's
is the
there,
leachate
yeah,
pond.
yeah,
We don't say, oh gee, I wish we had,
yeah,
because we may as well do it properly. And then after that, we'll either go up or we would have to find a new landfill location, which could be done. There's lots of clay in that area, but we would need to acquire land and test the land and build a new landfill. Yay.
Did that, pond get cleared off yet? The trees get cleared off yet?
I don't think it has.
We're in the process of getting, we have the permit to remove the timber.
Yeah.
We need a permit to put equipment there to do it. And so that should be coming shortly. And it gives us probably to the end of the year to get it done. The permit for that is quite long.
Any other questions on the landfill? Is there anything on the lagoon?
Oh, I didn't put the new stuff on there. Just mowing around it and getting rid of the bulrushes. And there's some actually floating islands of bulrushes that need to come
Yeah.
out. He said the levels were good, they were low, and the valve looked good as well. So all in all, it was a good report.
It's nice to have some good news.
Yes.
Yes. Very good. Any further discussion on the landfill and lagoon stuff? Hearing nothing, let's head to committee reports. We will start with Councillor Burick tonight.
Nothing to report on.
Councillor Blosha.
Yeah, I have no committee reports.
Very quiet.
Kushniryk.
Well, I guess we had the fire board, and then we had the creator special meeting here, but you'll fill us in.
Councillor Zbirun.
nothing to report.
Councillor Neely.
Nothing going on.
Councillor McGregor.
Nothing to report.
Does anyone need a break before I start?
Yeah.
Spot burn.
Some sort of medication.
Got 3 minutes, go.
I attended a quick meeting of the library committee yesterday. Councillor McGregor wasn't there, but the rest of us got together for a few minutes to discuss the Spooktoberfest that communities that Carrie used to do. A couple members of the library board are quite gung-ho on taking over Spooktoberfest as a fundraiser for the library. They're hoping to do some capital fundraising there. So the board tentatively provided some approval for that. They're going to go and have the conversation and make a final decision with communities that care people. There is one other group kind of interested in it as well. So ultimately the decision will be which group is going to do it. That decision will probably be made by the end of this week. Library board, if they go ahead with it, wants us to think of anyone that might have some time here to help out, because not everybody on the library board has that time, but they want us to have that discussion. So we'll know more by next meeting on that. The library also, things just keep giving there. They blew an air conditioner, so it's $5,000 fix for an air conditioner there, but I think it's going to fit in the budget without causing a huge problem, but that's something that was discussed for a few minutes as well. We had a special meeting a while back. All of us were here for that with the graders, so we all basically know what's happened. To catch everybody else up to speed out there in YouTube land, we have some residents who have purchased a grader that are in conversations with us to see if they can obtain permission to use that grader on municipal roads. Those conversations are ongoing. We'll probably touch on it again a bit more when we're back in camera. We do have a map to share with council tonight of the roads that they want to look at. But there's been no firm decision by anyone on that yet. We did have a fire board meeting. I managed to get up the stairs. I was still on crutches, but I got up there. We reported that, I think, at the special meeting already, didn't we? Talked about a bit, but just for sharing for those watching the video, fire board was looking at a shared services agreement between the municipalities and offering their opinion on it. So they've certainly made some decisions there. And there was also some promotions that were promoted, I think, in the media with regard to some of the members at Swan Valley Fire Board. So we offer our congratulations to those that were promoted. And there's likely further promotions to come as they're trying to prepare for some departures of some folks that are planning to retire shortly. So that's coming up. I did attend Benito on Sunday. That was great fun with the lift station. I would love to tell you that the problem is fully diagnosed and solved, but it isn't. When it was found, the lift station was rather full like really full. It took over an hour to pump it out once the pumps were running. We have some suspicions of what's wrong, but until it happens again, we won't be able to fully diagnose it. I think the leading contention is float 1 is either intermittent or float 1 got stuck under the chain for the pump and caused it to not be able to start the lift station properly. And then as soon as we started it, everything was fine, and it's been fine since. We've been checking it more often than normal, just to prevent a recurrence of that. But it was fairly high on Sunday, so I was out for that. Seeing how last time I was out with Chris got to do the floats, this time I did the floats. And that's just a really great feeling if you forget to bring your gloves with, as you pull those up and are cleaning those off and hoping you don't have any cuts on your hand right at the time. But I'm not sick yet.
Gloves up to your armpit.
I know, next time I'll have some more gloves than I had last time, and maybe some alcohol too to clean after. But in any case.
A little alcohol inside don't hurt either.
Could be. We're going to work shortly through with Public Works and line flushing in Benito in the coming short time. We are finally seeing some resolution to the shortage of operators. So we have another person's begun training today. She was out there doing training. Paperwork is filed for her to become an operator in training. She's working office, but she's from Benito. So the idea is that she'll be able to do water plant on her way into work, get some relief time for Chris, and then we're going to keep looking for another staff person. So we end up with 3 again on staff, but things are progressing there. We have sorted out and resolved all of the concerns about the Reeve having an operator in a certificate, the operator training certificate. So as of today, I can legally touch the water plant when I go out there to train staff on how it works. So I want to reassure the council and the public that I have no intention of taking a union position. The certificate allows me to provide the training to them. It does not provide for me to take one of their jobs and send them home. They will still work every day, they will still get paid, but when I come out, instead of me having to point and say, touch this button, I can touch the button and say, that was the button we needed to touch. So
That
that's
includes the lift station?
That includes the lift station. I have 5 years to complete the training, so we'll see how the election goes, and if I'm still here, I'll probably take the proper certifications for the exam, but in the meantime, it doesn't, in case of some sort of emergency, I could now actually go to the water plant and turn it on or something if I had to. But the intention here is not to take staff time. And to make this work, the compromises we have found is because I'm not allowed to be staff of the municipality. I already own my own business. And so for $0, my business will provide the service of me coming out to the water plant so that I do not work for council. There's provisions in the act for a contractor to be certified, so I'm officially a contractor that doesn't get paid. So it sorts out all the problems of me not working for council, but I can still go there and show how stuff works.
They'll be mowing shortly too.
I think that is most of my report for this evening. Is there any questions on that or anything anybody else thought of to report, seeing how you all had so much to share earlier? Hearing nothing, we are going to hold a second in-camera session, but before we do that, we're going to take a break. So we'll take about a 10-minute recess or so. Once everybody's back, we'll go back in camera and discuss the rest of the items we have there. I don't know that there's much to come of it. We're going to obviously discuss some more gravel. We're discussing a couple of HR issues that are on the go, but thankfully I can report there's nothing groundbreaking coming tonight in camera.
Oh, come on.
I got a comment.
Oh, okay.
But it's not
Councillor
really
Blosha has a
gravel.
comment. Let's make it up.
Some excitement here, Byron.
All right, we're in recess.
Yeah.
We'll move to number 12, which is an addition to the agenda. Be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, Council shall meet as a committee of the whole. Close the meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding investigations, enforcement of acts of bylaws, security of armed documents and property, HR matters, that's probably, or matters in a preliminary, wait, is there a mover? Councillor Burick and Councillor Kushniryk. Any discussion? Those in favor? That is carried. Coming out of the in-camera session, I don't believe we're bringing any resolutions tonight out of in camera, or do we want to do something on the splash park?
I'll vote it.
For next meeting.
Do you want to do it tonight, or do you want to leave it for 2 weeks?
For 2 weeks, we'll do Thunder Hill for 2 weeks too, eh?
Well, we know we're committed to it, so.
Which may,
Want to do it?
we're committed anyways, so.
Do it and be done, and then we can move
Be
on
done
to
with
Thunder
it.
Hill.
Be done with it.
And then we can deal with it at LUD too.
Okay, we'll go to 8.1 on the agenda, Benito Splash Park. Do you want to have some suggestions? I could just do some writing here for a moment.
We could replace you with AI.
Wasn't the suggestion I was asking for, but thank you, thank you. I appreciate everything you ever say about me. Resident Swan Valley West.
Be able to keep the weeds out of it.
Mhm.
Or they're a feature. It's kind of like the rainforest. Just get in there.
I don't know much about these splash parks, but my youngest boy came for a visit here about 3 weeks ago. We got 2 young boys, one 5 and one of them was 1. They stopped in Swift Current at the splash park, stayed in Regina overnight, and stopped at Kenora at the splash park on the way here.
Mm-hmm. And people from here do travel to go use them. Like they,
Kenora one, yeah. And
I say,
there's-
my kids are too old too. They won't
Apparently
use
there's a
it.
nice one in Kenora. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
very nice. There's also a little
I
one in
didn't even know
Priestville.
about it.
There's one in Priestville too. But Kenora has a very nice one.
Must have pulled
Kenora
that
has a
nice
big
one.
one.
I mean, I'm not going. You go, but.
No.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a picture, and I think you.
We're not holding hands.
Playing tag will be good. One chasing the other.
Guys, not in favor.
That's okay. Not everybody has to be.
Good.
There's no requirement that everyone agree.
Right on.
Are you from Benito or?
As long as you still talk to us after.
Pardon me?
As long as you still talk to us
Okay, yeah,
after.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
You're probably gonna be the one using it, Byron.
Well, unless they put one in my tractor,
you might change your mind someday.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll
yeah.
convince you.
maybe I have a grandchild hit that one over there.
Okay, so try this out. See if we capture some reasons why we're doing this to try and calm some folks down. Whereas the Splash Park Committee has done substantial work toward the design and fundraising to create a splash park in Benito that will encourage visitors and additional families to reside in Benito, and whereas it is imperative to attract more families with children to Benito to maintain and enhance the student population of Benito School to avoid closure, and whereas Benito has seen a marked increase in construction and expects further growth, be it resolved the Municipality of Swan Valley West commit $100,000 to the Benito Splash Park project. Is that suggestions for changes? Is that okay? It's okay, Brian. It's okay. Is there someone that would like to move the resolution? Councillor Burick. I see Councillor Kushniryk to second. Discussion. Do you want to record a vote?
Please.
Okay. Let me save this so I don't lose that. We're still we're not in the video part, but we're still the audio. Do you want to talk about reasons? Like you're welcome
Yeah,
to.
I would like, I figured we got the museum, we've got the ski hill, and we've got Benito Rink, we've got hobbles all over the the valley. I mean, we still haven't put up the street light on the museum as they asked us for a year and a half ago. We got money we can spend, we don't need to look for more projects. We got gravel that it could be spent on gravel, mowing. That's my take of it.
Does anybody else want to discuss or comment?
Well, I got mixed feelings on it, like I just said, you know, I wasn't really too happy about it before, but now I don't know what type they got there, you know, and I have to agree with Byron, to where to agree, you know, spend that kind of money, we got a lot of other things that. So how much there? It's 100,000 we're committing to this, that's the maximum we would have put into it, is that correct?
That's-
And then we upkeep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently there's not a lot of upkeep, is that right?
It's mostly standard plumbing fittings, so it
It's good,
shouldn't
like-
be a lot.
A couple $1,000 a year at least, but it's not gonna be $50,000 a year.
Like when you think of these
How old is the skate park?
5?
5 years,
Must be
5,
5.
6.
And they say that the cement is starting to deteriorate. It was supposed to be coated, I guess, every 2 years. It's supposed to have special coating. They say, from what I understand from people, that it's starting to crack up in a little bit. I don't know. I never looked at it.
I've never heard of the special coating thing, but if you go to any skate park, they crack. They're cracked everywhere. Winnipeg's is cracked.
Chipping away.
Swans will have cracks.
But that's,
So
that
so
skate park,
something-
but that
something like
skate
a-
park committee still holds fundraisers
that's
to,
no, but what I'm getting
like, that
at,
skate park committee looks after itself.
what I'm getting at is what is the cement going to look like after it's been having water running on it for 5 years?
I've been to some, like I've been to Yorkton, the one there for 10 or 15 years old. And you can certainly see a
But have
little
they been
wear on
coating
it.
it and, you know,
I don't know if they have been or not. There's some places that put a coating on top, which you can do whenever. It can be done right away. Some put like a little bit of a spongy coating, so if you fall, it's not so hard.
Right.
It's not cheap. It's $50,000-$60,000.
right.
But if it started to degrade, you could probably do that if you had to. The sports pad at CBF we did 8 years ago, 6 years ago, and the top is fine. It's that spongy stuff. The trouble is there's a couple spots where the dirt wasn't compacted enough, so it's got little divots in it now. But the spongy stuff even lasts a while. The concrete, the Gimli one, Madison would have been 6, so that's like 12 years ago. It's still pretty good too. So I don't know, like 25 years, 50 years probably.
Yeah, or less. I mean, do we know for sure, or should we look into something like that before we commit to, you know? Because I mean, you say a couple $1,000s a year, it may be 10 times that. We don't know.
What is?
We've got guys that taking care of Bonito that can't take care of Bonito. What are they gonna, now you're gonna throw a splash park on top of them? The only other way you could do it is how it was done 4 years ago. The LUD would hire their own workers. They would take care of the town and free us up of our commitment to the town.
So when you go to areas like, I was just in Wawanisa, they've got a beautiful pool, a splash park and everything like that. 2 campgrounds fully functioning, a population of 600 and some people, I believe.
So we're gonna build a pool and
No, I don't want
and
a pool.
lake and
I don't want a pool, but what I'm saying is I did a 5,100 kilometer trek and I didn't backtrack anywhere. And we have fewer amenities than anywhere I went. Everything costs money. Everything takes maintenance. But Wawanisa had 2 full campgrounds. Right full. People coming to use it. Binscarth, 400.
So how many people did they have working there to keep it beautiful and luxurious?
I'm sure they had people working there, guaranteed.
So is the LED gonna step up and
If you look at
take control of
Wawanisa,
it?
if you look at Wawanisa, it's not an LED. They're fully at large as of a few years ago. They don't charge garbage. They don't charge anything.
And what are they paying at large?
I do not know.
I'm sure it'd probably be
So-
more than 3.5%.
So another, well, they'll just pay their percentage, it works the same.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be much more. So I did another municipality on the way up here, 1,200 people, I believe it was, we're 2,600. And their budget was the same as ours.
I'm thinking that if their park and whatnot is gonna cost $12,000 or whatever it is a year to maintain, that they're gonna make sure that their at large is covering
So-
a good percentage of that.
So if we don't want to pay for amenities in Swan River, and we don't want to pay for amenities in Swan Valley West, we just want to pay for other people to build them and we'll go use them?
So like, so let's go spend the money, and if we lose a bunch of money, that's okay because we built our own? So that we
Well-
wouldn't go and use somebody else's?
Don't we want to provide
So-
people a reason to
so-
live here?
So, yeah, okay, so is the LED gonna step up and take charge of the splash park once we build it?
Will the LED be the only users?
I don't know, will they? It'll be in there, okay, then why are we putting it there? Let's put it someplace else.
Are you going to build a water plant out there to put one?
Well, there you go.
So we
We'll put it right
put it
beside
back in
the,
Benito.
we can put it right beside the new fire department.
We could.
Yeah,
Probably not a bad spot.
No, not a good spot.
You know,
so I mean, at one point, they have to take control of what's happening in their town.
So, before we get too far into it, who is they?
Well, the LED, I
There
mean,
is no town.
but there is an LED.
The LED is
And-
responsible
and 4
for.
years ago, when the LED hired their own people, we
The
never
LED
never had a boil water thing. We never had a,
that's because we didn't report them.
had the grass and everything like that the way it looks now.
So the LED has never hired their own people.
They've never,
They may have paid for the people, but they never hired them.
and the difference being,
They never hired them, they never managed them, and specific to the boil water order, there were numerous times that the water was off and it was failed to be reported. And so there was no boil water issued. The boil water orders have been issued now because we're actually reporting when we have a problem.
because of the reservoir, it wasn't off long enough so that the reservoir would go down low enough to
Any-
issue a boil water.
Anytime the water pressure falls below 15 PSI, boil water
Exactly,
order is
but as long as the
mandatory.
reservoir was full, the water pressure wouldn't drop down.
That's not correct.
As soon as the pumps go offline.
So then, Ricky lied to me then.
As soon as the pumps stop pumping, the pressure goes down.
If you fall below a certain PSI at your tap for any reason you want to give it, the water that can then seep into your supply lines, right, from the ground. So the reservoir you could just close a valve at the reservoir. But so long as there's no pressure coming out of my tap at my house, there could be boil water. There has to be a boil water. Because then you have negative pressure on your lines.
That's not the way it was explained to me, but okay.
The concern, to try and fill that in, if you have a water pipe underground and it cracks and it's leaking out, the ground itself is pressurized. And usually that water just goes away. But if we stop putting pressure in, that crack is still there. And now because everybody's taps are on, there's no pressure in the line at all, but the ground itself is 2 or 3 PSI, so the groundwater comes in, and whatever's in the ground comes into the pipes too. So if we knew we had no cracks whatsoever, there wouldn't have to be boiled water. But the reality is there's always a crack someplace. And it's even so simple as if somebody has a garden hose. And the garden hose, when it's sitting outside, you have the tap turned on, well, it's got 50 PSI in it, and the water's sat there for 2 weeks. But when the water pressure goes away, that garden hose feeds back in too. And so whatever's in that hose isn't chlorinated anymore because it's been sitting outside. So that's why they issue the boil water orders. Swan River had a whole spate of them too. For a while, Swan River was much like Benito was. Oh, if it was only 5 minutes, we just won't call it in. When Swan River changed operators to someone that was really gung-ho on the regulations, they began having boil water orders a lot, to the point at which they then had to upgrade their plant to have something that would go and fix it. We do have at our plant the thing that's supposed to keep boil water orders from happening, that diesel generator that's there. It's supposed to automatically start, and it starts at about 25 PSI. So as we hit 25 PSI, it isn't instant. There's a lot of water pressure in that system. When we get to 25 PSI, it should start. And it's spinning up, and it can't get below 15 as long as it's running. And by the time it revs up, it comes back up. But because the oil pressure sensor is bad, it will not automatically start. So when the power goes out, all the pumps are going off. If someone was standing there and within a minute pushed the button, it would probably still save it. We have been, I think you would agree, to the extent of turning into Mr. Neely's amount of hair, pulling our hair out, trying to get Public Works to fix the damn thing. But it's been over a year now, and 2 different lead hands, and it's still not fixed. If the power goes out right now, we're getting another boil water order. The part, as I understand, is around $20. And if it was fixed, we wouldn't have boil water. So that's probably what Rick's trying to say. It's probably different language for the same thing, because when Rick was there, that pump worked. And it would just automatically start, and as long as there's water in the reservoir, there wouldn't be a boil water order, because the pump would start.
It's been
No.
3 to 4 years for sure that it hasn't worked. It's been a long time.
So,
These are getting old,
there.
falling apart.
And for whatever reason, we're not really good at going out and fixing them right away. And yet I think everybody's committed to actually doing it, it just never seems to happen. But, anything further? Anybody else wanna? I don't wanna feel like you're pressured to stop, but you're welcome to say anything you wanna say. Okay, so we have a recorded vote called for. So we will do anyone that wants to vote yes first by show of hands at the same time, so no one feels pressure one way or the other. If you're voting yes, I would like to see your hands now. So I see Councillor Blosha, Councillor Burick. I saw Councillor Kushniryk, and I saw Councillor McGregor. Myself as well. If anyone wants to vote no, now is the time to show us a no. Okay, I see 2 no's. I think I have everybody's votes already. Does everybody agree I do? Okay, there's nobody that was abstaining or anything else? Okay. So it's a 5-3 vote in favor, so it is carried.
5-2.
Sorry, 5-2, correct, thank you.
Kristi, you vote?
Yeah, she didn't put her hand up for yes, so we'll count
That
her
was
as a
a
no.
big math.
You won't say nothing on it.
Is there any other business for council tonight? Hearing nothing, we give you a moment if you have a notice of motion to present that before we're done. And be it resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 10:09 p.m. Be it further resolved, I have to click who's moving now first. Further resolved, the next meeting is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Neely. Any discussion? Those in favor? That is carried.